After day 3, just stayed at Inversnaid bunkhouse, which was very good, very good. I'd recommend it. The only problem with it is that you've got this massive hill to go up to get to it. Just show this. This is kind of about maybe a quarter of the way up the hill. A view, Ben Vorlich with the hydroelectric pipes going down it, and the wee power station at the bottom. There's Loch Lomond. Another lovely morning, which means it's going to be very warm. So I'm not looking forward to that. This next section is generally recognised as the hardest section of the way. So today it's a hard 4 or 5 miles or so along the loch side, and then get to Inverell. Never mind. I get somewhere. I get to Inverarming, the Ben Glass campsite there, but I'm not stopping apart from maybe just to get a break and a rest and recharge my batteries, and then on for another 7 miles. So that'll be 14 miles in total, round about. Mind you, this hill could count as a good mile or two. And that will take me up to Crianlarich, just where I'm spending the night in another hostel up there. So just about starting off, 8:17. When I get to the bottom of this hill, then I'm along the loch side. That's when the hard work starts. I'm very grateful for the weather. Just behind me there's the Inversnaid Hotel. I'm at the bottom of the hill now, just about to start going in the loch. So it's a lovely place. A lot of coach tours come here. Last time we were here was a guy told us him and his wife were staying here with a tour of the Highlands for ridiculously cheap. It was about 250 quid or something. So it must have been heavily subsidised somehow. I don't know what a room costs here, but it'll certainly be worth it. It's just spectacular. So just about to set off, I was talking to a family last night that were staying at the bunkhouse as well. Man and his wife, and a wee daughter who's only 11 years old, and she's doing this, so that puts us all to shame. You can't moan about how tough it is when a wee kid's doing it. But I will moan, because the feet get sore and I've got a wee calf injury just cropping up just now. And, well, man of my age can moan. Man of my age can moan. Right, it started. Oh, thank you.
You just on your own?
Hey?
Is there anyone else coming behind you?
No, immediately.
No.
No.
Thank you. Right.
It's okay in the dry weather, eh? These biking nutters. I suppose it might be good fun, but damn hard work. In this section anyway. I wouldn't want to bring a bike here. End up carrying it half time. Just past a lassie who's coming the opposite direction. Actually a few folk were doing it. There's some group of older folk as well. But then the lassie said she'd done it a few times this way and just wanted to try and going the opposite way. So maybe I suppose it'd be easier to get home. You go start at Fort William, just take a train up and then you finish up at Mulgai. Of course we're no back in civilisation till you get to Glasgow because the train service from Mulgai isn't very good for the West Highland Way. I think ScotRail hate the West Highland Way. There was a young couple that was at the breakfast table next to me, cycling along here. She came down at an offer rate and had to brake suddenly. The house so green around the bay, things I thought and didn't say. Best bunkhouse on the way, we could have had another day. We should have stayed and never stayed. Oh well, better get going. That's a lovely view there. Just sitting out as I walk along. Just bumped into a guy, older fella, who was doing it the other way there. He was a pal, part of the group, the three guys that I came across earlier on. I said, aye, that was about a good hour ago, a good half hour ago maybe. Probably more than that, probably nearly an hour and 45 minutes ago that I bumped into them. He's trying to catch them up. Because Ben Glass campsite, which is where they were, didn't open till whatever time in the morning, so he had to wait behind and give them the keys, which seems a bit of a crazy system. Surely they know that people want to set off early, and so he wasn't very happy about that. He's sweating buckets trying to catch his pals up. He says he hopes they stay there and wait at Inversnaid and have breakfast with him. Good luck to the gentleman. And he said the hardest bit is just coming up, so I can look forward to that. This is a nice wee stretch. Whoever built this path didn't ken what they were doing. I would have to ask the roads department at the council, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't a qualified engineer. Oh. Past the young couple with the bikes there. They're struggling, of course, with them. I said they should have checked them in at Inversnaid and then just picked them up again at Inverharnon, which the boys seemed to think was a great idea, but the lassie said, oh, that'd be cheating. I feel she's maybe a wee bit more committed to the cause than him. A nice couple. Oh. but I wouldn't try it on a bike. This is the place where you come to and you think, oh, at the top of the loch, that's great, made it there. Actually, you're not. You're not. It's a good few miles to go yet. Wow. I'm hoping that's about the worst of the up and down, sclambering over rocks, but done. Can't quite remember, but I think you leave that the loch side for a wee while and it gets easier here. I'm just going to check the map just to see where I am. Yep, just beyond Island I Vow, which is here in the map. Island I Vow. And that must be just about 36 miles in, just about there. The footpath leaves the loch shore for the first time since Inversnaid, climbs over a small col, and down to Dunbothy. Right, okay, I remember now. Aye, so that's that wee tiny island just there. And that's Island I Vow. Strange name. Right, over a col, or uphill. Just checking the map again there. I've only come 3 miles from Inversnaid. My goodness. It felt like 5. Well, so it's only what, under 2 hours I've been walking, so I pass a bit easier now. Oh, little house in the prairie stuff. Is that the right tune? Is that a magnificent sound? That's do do. I think that's the right tune. Not sure. Maybe some other old western thing. Sure enough. Soon it down. Dunbothy is the well-maintained building on the right. Another one just been a wreck. Just passed a couple of boys going in the opposite direction. I think they might have been brothers or twins or something, but both had staffs made out of rough wood. Maybe they've hacked them off themselves there. Seems to be an awful lot of people doing it the opposite direction this time, but in fact more people seem to be going that way than going from Mulgai to Fort William. Wonder why. Let's have a look at Dunbothy. Fine Bothy. 3 sleeping platforms. Somebody's left some gaiters. 1 gaiter. I think you might just have a wee rest in the shade here for a couple of minutes. Oh, a wee cot as well. But I suppose you could build your own platform on top of it. Bitcoin, promise to hold on forevermore. Bitcoin. young couple with the bikes just passed me there. They were saying, oh, I hope we've passed the worst of it. Aye, I don't think it gets quite as bad as that again. So they stopped for a minute and we had a wee chat and I moaned about midges and clegs. They'd never heard of clegs until I said, oh, it's horseflies. We call them clegs. They said they'd encountered them at Ballachulish. I don't know where they'd been. But she had 2 ticks so far. And I haven't actually really checked myself for ticks. I had a shiver last night, but I didn't see anything. Mind you, my legs are so full of cuts and stuff, maybe I wouldn't notice. I should really check. I had the notion that the sun protection spray that I was using might keep things away. I'm not sure it's really working too well in the gangs of midges, but to be honest, as I walk along, it's not too bad at all. So maybe it is having some effect. I thought it smelled a bit like Skin So Soft, so it was a last CN sun spray, sun protection spray. Which is what you get now. When I was a kid, it wasn't. It was sun cream and sun oil you used to get, which actually encouraged a tan. Or baby lotion they would put on you, remember that? Always seemed to be getting burnt. Sunburnt as a kid and pulling off the skin, the dead skin, which was quite a pleasant activity at times, to be honest. But these days it's all about protection, quite rightly. I don't think it does get as bad again. I think that's us past the worst of that. There's a few rough bits in the path, hills and stuff, but yeah, the worst bit's over. Patch of moss in that tree looks a bit like a teddy bear. Like a, yeah, teddy bear type thing. Bungle bear. My brother George was, oh, brother-in-law George, I should say, but he's like a brother. Was in for an op yesterday. I kept him overnight just to be sure, but everything went well, he said, so I'm just waiting to hear if he's getting home today. And a speedy recovery to you, George. Just thinking about him there. He said if he'd been a bit younger and fitter, he would have come along with me in the West Highland Way. It would be good to have a bit of company. It's nice doing it yourself though, right enough, and I wanted to do that as well, just to try it myself, see how I got on with the mental toughness bit of it, because there's nobody here to gee you along, and if someone's with you, you don't want to give in. But if you're just yourself, I suppose you worries about feet and knees and strains and things tend to play in your mind a wee bit more. So you've just got to put them out of your mind and get on with it and let your body deal with its own healing and etc. Let nature take its course. That's a nice wee spot here. A shady spot. I might take another wee couple of minutes just to sit on a rock, contemplate the scenery. I would definitely say to anyone, wagtail, who's contemplating doing the West Highland Way, split the loch in two. Don't try to do it all in one day. I did it before, the first time I tried it, and it was just too much. I mean, irrespective of my feet being cut to ribbons, I could have went on, apart from the fact that my feet were just busted because I wore the wrong kind of boots. They were slightly small for me, and they were made of leather actually. The old ones I'd had for 20 years or something, climbed a few hills in. So get yourself some decent footwear, something flexible. What I'm wearing is these Keen ones just now, and they seem to be okay for my feet. They're quite wide in the toe box. Not that I'm promoting one particular brand, but something that is waterproof, but quite flexible as well, and there's lots of options out there. Previously, when I did it 3 years ago, I had a pair of Salomons, and they were the best, they were really good. But I tried Salomons recently and didn't like them. I sent them back because they felt as if they were made of cardboard. So I just didn't trust it anymore, but the first pair I had I thought were great. So get yourself a decent pair of boots, walking boots. Take care of your feet and you should be grand, but definitely split the lock in two, because as I say, that first time I did it, it was just a nightmare. It just wasn't enjoyable. I went all the way from Balmaha, carrying a fairly heavy pack as well, because a fairly heavy day pack, because I didn't know what I was doing. So I went all the way from Balmaha to Inverarnon in one day, 12 hours, a slog along the loch side, the most difficult part. So if you split it in two, although it's difficult, it was actually quite enjoyable coming along the loch side there. A wee bit of a challenge going up and down the boulders and things and the tree roots, but actually it's a bit like climbing a hill. It's a bit, just a bit of effort, but not too much, and it was quite enjoyable. So the other way people do it is they go from Mulgai to Drimmen, stay overnight at Drimmen, which is fairly short. And yesterday I was understanding why people could do that, because they were a bit fresh for going up Conic Hill the next day. So if you stop at Drimmen, then the next day you would go from Drimmen over Conic Hill down to Balmaha and right through Balmaha and on to River Dennin, and then you would do the rest of the loch in one day, which is the most difficult part. But there's a difficult part just north of River Dennin, and then up you get to Inversnaid, and then the most difficult part, which is shorter, just 2-3 miles north of Inversnaid. Hello. Sorry?
Have you seen anything interesting on the
Scenery.
wildlife?
Wildlife, not so much, no. No.
I'm still trying to see a red squirrel.
You don't get many red squirrels around here, to be fair.
Don't.
No.
Well, we've been all over Scotland. We've been as far as the Isle of Skye, and we still haven't seen them.
Oh, that's a shame. Well, you definitely get them places, but not so much around in the West Highland Way.
Yeah,
You need pine forests, I think.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, up by, where was that head?
Great Glen Way, they had signs saying red squirrels crossing, but we still didn't see them.
That's a shame. You're on a mission.
We're on a mission.
Well, this is our last day in Scotland. We're going further down south after today. So,
Alright, so where are you going today?
we're just going up to the Inversnaid, is it, where there's a hotel and a
Inversnaid?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a tough walk.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're staying at the campsite.
Benglass.
Yeah.
Are you walking back again?
Yeah, we do out there.
That's
Yeah, we went the other way yesterday.
Yeah.
Right, it's pretty tough.
14 miles yesterday, there and back, and now we're going this way. Didn't want to drive.
Fair play to you.
Yeah.
I don't know how these guys are going the bikes, you know.
Crazy. I wouldn't like, and also you've got to lift them over the fences as well. haven't you?
Yeah. Oh well, good luck, have a nice day. Two nice ladies there. Going on a walk down to Inversnaid and back just for fun. Yeah, good for them. I suppose you've got to keep active. Keep active as you get older. Otherwise, I think your body degenerates. It needs a bit of effort. So anyway, I wouldn't. Maybe I'm not as hardy as these two ladies that just went there. But I would split the loch in two. It makes the whole thing much more enjoyable. You've got a wee hard part, and then a wee rest at Inversnaid overnight, and then a wee hard part again. And you can either go to Inverarnon after that for a shorter day, or up to Crianlarich, which is another 7 or 8 miles, which is what I'm doing today. But that's another pro tip for hiking the West Highland Way. split the loch in two, stop at Inversnaid. It's definitely worth it. Well, push on. Just on a bit to our Louis ferries up here, which is a ferry that you call by raising a buoy. There's a buoy on a kind of flagpole thing, and you use the rope to pull it up, and that tells the ferryman on the other side to come over and get you, take you over to Ardlui. Oh, that's a bit awkward. Where the fence bends there, easily trip. There's the ferry point down there. Don't know if it's operating. Someone's left a shelter here. Oh. I don't know if I've just abandoned that for someone else to take or if they're coming back for it. There's the flagpole with the buoy. Just there in the centre. And you pull that wee orange buoy up to the top, and that tells the guy in Ardlui that you're waiting for the ferry. He'll come over and get you and take you over there. So you can walk by road, it's a very short distance just up to Inverarnon, to the Drovers, and stay there. Or go to the Benclass campsite that way, it's a shorter way to get there. Or you can go just to Ardlui if you want to do that, and you can get a ferry back to start the way again the next morning. Nice option. But I'm pressing on to Crianlarich through the Benclass campsite. Just past the Loch Duv, which is, I think, the Black Lochin, Duv Lochin. Not too far from Benclass campsite, but what a great view you get of Ben Louis. Really pointy at the top. So inviting. Butterfly and Ben Louis. You know, this wee stretch after the rough part of the loch, this wee stretch feels awful tough somehow. I know there's a wee hill you had to climb, but it wasn't really too bad in context, but somehow the last few miles to Inverarnon or Benclass campsite are harder than they should be. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just my impression, maybe it's just a mental thing. My back's awful sore. I've not had that before, my upper back. So I don't know why. Oh, I'm feeling that. View ranger's telling me it's Ben Louis, Ben Oss, and Ben Ducraig. It's a great view anyway. And at last, civilization in the distance. That must be the Drovers at Inverarnon, so we're nearly there. It's bumped out into a few guys. 3 guys coming the opposite direction. Must be about my age, I think. Just out for a stroll, obviously, from the campsite. They've come a wee distance already, they were sweating and looked as if they were struggling a wee bit. One of them certainly was. And saying, "Hi mate, how far is it to Loch Lomond?" Sure what saying, you're actually still at Loch Lomond. But I knew what they meant until we got to the loch side, really, is what they're trying to say. And I had to tell them, you know, it's a long way, a good hour, through some really kind of rough terrain, because they didn't look as if they were ready for it, weren't they, hikers? And I said to them, called them back, I went away, let them go on. And then I stopped and I went back and said to them, no, you know, you're not carrying enough water, guys, you shouldn't really do this. I said, really think about turning back, because when you get there, I said, you'll get down to the loch side, but there's nowhere to get any fresh water, so you'll have to hike all the way back without, and I couldn't let them do that. So hopefully I saved them a wee bit of misery. But folk don't know, they think it's just a wee hike, and I said to them, even though if it's 3-4 miles, I says it's no 3-4 miles, because it's 3-4 hard miles, and then they send back again. And they were carrying like maybe half a bottle of water each that they had left. So you have to be prepared. But aye, there's the drovers over there. So nearly at Benglass campsite. I've got a wee rest there for a wee while. And then another 7 or 8 miles to Crianlarich. Here we are. As if out of nowhere, suddenly you're at Benglass campsite. Take a wee rest here. It's not busy. You think at this time of year it'd be mobbed. I lie and gaze on heavens as you ride, trace the swallow across the sky, finding love among the gentle hills, panacea for all our ills. Just about time to head on. I think these are swifts, not swallows. This is the road away from Benglass campsite. I left there about 12:30, so I've been walking 5 minutes. Oh, my back is sore. My upper back, really sore. Never had that before. Sometimes a wee problem with the lower back now and again, but never the upper back. I don't know what's going on. Well, it's going to have to sort itself out. There's 7 or 8 miles to go, but it's not that long. Right, it's up over this moor between Derrydarach and Carmyle Cottage. That's quite a long slog up a hill. Not a steep hill or anything, but in this weather I'm hoping it'll be okay, because in the wet it gets pretty boggy, really boggy in sections, and there's coups in it as well, so you can imagine what you're walking through in the bogs. But I'm hoping on a nice dry day it'll be okay. We shall see. Right, got here and there's a turn. A sign that says West Highland Way. The boy on the bike in front there, I think, went down that way. Maybe went somewhere else, but this looks more like the West Highland Way. Just twisted an ankle there. Stood up in a wee grassy knoll till a truck passed, and as I stepped off it, the ankle just gave way and twisted, but fortunately it's not too bad. It's feeling okay just now. Sore at first. Starting to feel a bit moany again. My sore back and my knees getting a bit sore. Twisting an ankle. My second toes and both feet seem to have been rubbing somewhere. But I think that was due to the first day when I had those insoles in that constricted my foot. But I don't suppose you can do something like this without any pain. So, press on. There's the boy on the bike down there, he's way down to the road. Taking it easy. One thing about twisting my ankle, I forgot about my back for a wee while. So, this section of the way follows the River Falach, up Glen Falach, just where we are, and what happens is you get fairly gentle, fairly featureless sections, and then gorges and waterfalls and things, but I think the waterfalls won't be quite spectacular this time of year and it being so dry. But there are some nice places here. I remember doing it 3 years ago and we kept on saying, oh, waterfall, oh, it's another waterfall. We became a bit obsessed with waterfalls. Something just bit me, I'm pretty sure. That was a tick. Tiny wee black thing. It ran about my arm there just when I went to hook it. I ended up squishing it. Well, that's my first tick. One of the pools in the gorge. Somebody's down there in it. Just past, could hear lots of kids playing and swimming, and some of the other pools just along the way there. Couldn't see them, but people must be coming here just for a wee day out, I think. Must be access from the road just on the other side of the gorge. Oh, these boys are playing. Surely they're not jumping off the rock into the pool. Oh. Maybe see them through in here. Talking to a few folk there. Everybody seems to be going the opposite way. There's one guy, English guy, going the opposite way. Talked to him for a few minutes. And he was asking me where he should camp. He was well camping, carrying his pack. He said he was going to try and get to Inversnaid, but I think at this time to try and get to Inversnaid, carrying all his weight, might be asking a bit much. So I gave him some advice as much as I could. I think he'll probably end up camping, maybe just beyond the Drovers, maybe at the Bothy, or by the side of the loch on one of the wee beaches or something. Another guy just met as well, Irish guy, who's going the other way. I said, where are you going? He said, Land's End. He's doing the John O'Groats to Land's End whole way. He's taken 11 days so far to get here, and he's going all the way down. He says he's fully vaccinated and everything, so it should probably be alright. Good luck to him. And then a couple of young girls as well who are walking this way. Walked along with them for a couple of minutes. Moaned about midges again. So it's not a busy time of year to do it, and I think maybe the midges is what puts people off. Certainly with the camping. The fella that's going to camp down at Inverarnon, I think, was kind of saying that his biggest problem is the midges. I'm not going to kid yous. They're something. But are they that bad that would stop you doing things? Nah, I don't think so. I've had much worse midgie experiences than I've had here. The worst has been at the bunkhouse. That's where the midges were the worst. That's kind of out in the middle of nowhere, so that's maybe why. Another gorge. Seem to have crossed the river Falach on the other side now. I think that might be Ben Glass and Stob Glass and a couple of other ones, and Castile. What were your rangers saying? Your rangers are a bit dodgy, doesn't it really? It's not accurate enough to tell you exactly that. Nice wee spot here. The road's just up there, but you feel as if you're in the middle of nowhere. And suddenly, Ben Moor. Big black shape that looks at. A cattle creep. So I'm at the cattle creep, so I can check the map and see where I am. You have to bend really low there with a big pack. It's amazing the difference that a month or two makes in terms of the vegetation. It really is. Saw that up Conic Hill. It was like a different place almost, just from when I did it a month ago. And same here, there's bits that I didn't recognise purely because the vegetation is so much higher and denser. Big thistles like that. Size my shoulder nearly. Corn is as high as an elephant's eye. Oh, what a beautiful afternoon. Oh no, there's the road. The wee tunnel. Right, and across the road there, underneath the road, checked the map and I've come just 4 miles since Inverarnon. Oh, it's sweltering. It feels like an awful lot more. I can walk around 4 miles around Kilmarnock in jig time. No problem with it. I'm feeling it. But maybe I'm just tired yesterday. That's the view back down Glenfarrach. Lovely. Back up to Benmore again. I'm going that way, you can see the track in the distance. I'm going to fall off this rock for a watch. Got another 3 mile I think to Crianlarich. Aye. Fair play to the boys with the backs. Must be hardy. Now the cottage back there is Carmyle Cottage. Just checking the map, and this was the section that from Carmyle Cottage up to the trees there. Quite often, depending on the time of year, is really boggy. It's like a running river at times. but it's bone dry just now. There might still be one or two sections that are a wee bit boggy, but I think it's okay, easy enough to walk on. That's the road. The Crianlarich turn off is just beyond where those trees are. The road disappears into them. So I go up to those trees at the end of this mucky brown path and then turn right down the big hill into Crianlarich. And that'll be me for the day. Give my back a rest. Have something nice to eat. And that'll be a good 14 or 15 miles. That's nice, somebody's left a chair here. Might as well avail myself of it for a minute. Oh. There's the sheep. I'm sure it was coos that was here one time before. Just seems to be sheep now. Right, that's enough lazing about. In we go. You're only half sheared. A half sheared sheep. What's been happening? Do their coats fall off naturally? Summer, I suppose, maybe they do. But it's no sheared at all. Well, that's me coming out of that glen there. Away from Clegg country. Because that's what it was like down there. Loads of them. Probably because of the sheep. I managed to avoid getting bitten, I think. I managed to catch them all before they bit me. Can I give you a sore one? Oh, that's the top of the glen now. Tyndrum massage. Call or text Pat. Tyndrum or Tyndrum. That's the old argument people have. I think Tyndrum's probably right. Oh, it doesn't roll off the tongue as easy as Tyndrum does. Crianlarich crossroads. So that'll be the way up there to Tyndrum. And this is the way I'm going into Crianlarich, as the sign points out. Nature's redcoats. There might be some red squirrels about here, right enough. And the pine forest. A nice bench up there. I think I'm going to take a couple of minutes on that. Just going through the pine forest. Have to look out for red squirrels. Pine forests are kind of spooky. At least this one is the on. Well, it is actually in rows and bits. People just planted them in rows. Some of it looks a bit more kind of randomly spaced, which looks a bit more natural, probably isn't. But say that. Right. Could be some guy living in the underpass. There's loads of bags of stuff. I should have gave him a couple of bob if I've got it. Nobody carries cash these days, but I think I had a couple of pounds there in case I came across an honesty box, so maybe tomorrow if I see him. Here we are. This way. Usually up the 82, you just drive through Crianlarich or past it. You don't notice anything. No, I think there's a lot in it. So that's the station road. That's Crianlarich Youth Hostel. Arrived here about 3:45, I think, or something. So that's not too bad. It was just so warm for the walking, but glad to be here. Just took a wee wander into town, a wee diner, see the shop if they've got anything that would do me, and maybe the pub for something to eat. Well, the boy in the youth hostel did offer me pizza and free tea and coffee, but I don't know, fancy chips. Well, it was a lovely night, so I just wandered up to the road in Crianlarich. That's the West Highland Way up there, where I'll go tomorrow. So I wandered up to the road, just next to the train station here, to get a signal, so I could free up some space in my phone. So when I arrived, I had a shower in the youth hostel, and then went round to the pub, which the boy in the hostel said, that's a good pub round there, the Rod and Reel it's called. Now with a name like that, I should have known that they weren't really into vegetarianism too much. They had some veggie options in the menu, but I chose the veggie curry, which was vegetables and chickpeas and curry sauce, and I have to say it was very nice. Just enough, spicy enough, and plenty of rice and wee hot naans to go with it, so it was very good. But as I approached the end of it, I was so hungry that I was bolting it down, and I was approaching the end. I found a bit of chicken in it, and it was quite clearly a lump of chicken, because I know even in the menu it said they had chicken curry as well. So I finished it though, because I was so hungry. I needed something to eat. And I left the chicken on the side of the plate, and I said to the woman when she came over and asked was everything okay, I said, well, yeah, everything was good apart from the fact I found a lump of chicken in the curry. She said, oh no, I'll go tell her, and she took my plate away with a lump of chicken on it, so it was quite obviously there. And then she never came back. She never said sorry. The word sorry never came out her lips. So I finished my drink. I went up to the bar to pay. I said I would settle up. And she said, oh, what kind of beer did you have? And I told her. She says, right. And she went to the till and counted it up and came back and charged me £14 odds. So it's not as if I got the meal for nothing, despite the fact that as a vegetarian it had a bit of chicken in it. So I don't recommend the Rod and Reel if you're veggie. Otherwise it's fairly nice, but I wouldn't go back in that case. So just went back round to the hostel and sat and had a cup of tea and some biscuits and watched the England game. England won 2-0 against Germany, put them out of the competition. So not a good day at all altogether in that respect. But in the youth hostel everybody was supporting England, apart from me, so I just stayed quiet. I don't care. But I think she could at least have said sorry, and I think they should have not charged me for the meal. So boo to the Rod and Reel in Crianlarich. If you're going there, just watch out. Not recommended in my opinion. Since I'm tired and in moany old man mode, see this? You find this everywhere. That is someone who comes to a place like this, just a wee bit out of the way, or sometimes in public parks. I've seen them doing it in the Howard Park in Kilmarnock. They come and they brush their dogs and they just leave the mess behind. And I don't think that's right. It's a form of littering and people shouldn't do it. you know, they should at least pick it up and take it away. So the youth hostel's down here, just down from the station. Very nice youth hostel it is, I have to say, very good. Spick and span, very friendly people run it. An English boy supporting England and another boy who I think might be a bit older, so maybe he's the manager, but he's supporting England as well in the football. There's no drinking in the youth hostel, but the guy I think's the manager had brought in a case of 10 beers and a bottle of wine, and he was sitting tucking into them while the football was on. Never offered me a beer, I have to say. I went in and sat down to watch the football, speaking to them, and he never said, would you like a beer? But another guy came in, foreigner, I don't know who he was, and sat down, and immediately I looked around and says, oh, and just walked over and gave him a beer. So what did I do? I don't know. But the youth hostel itself is good. So this is the room in the youth hostel at Crianlarich. It's pretty good, pretty cool. It's a 3-person room I've got because of COVID. You couldn't just get a single room, so I'm in a 3-person one, which means I've got this space to myself. There's a wee garden out there. A choice of beds, and the good thing is it's got a wee sink which you can use for brushing your teeth or whatever you might use a sink for. Given the toilets are away through in the other wing, some people might actually be tempted to use that for other purposes in the middle of the night, but I wouldn't do that, but some people might. But no, it's a cool wee room. But here's the funny thing. When I got here, the guy said, oh, you're in room 5, and gave me the wee card for the door that opens it. And the light, the big light there in the centre of the ceiling, when I come in, so I opened the door, stepped in, and almost stepped on the shade of that light. So that big round white bit, and then the grey bit there, was lying right in front of the door, perfectly formed, and in that kind of, well, the opposite orientation from you see it in the ceiling, right? So if it had fallen, and it had come down, crashed here, it would have to have fallen right down here, rolled over a wee bit, and then kind of righted itself in terms of orientation right in front of the door. So when I was going for my shower just after I got here and got my bags kind of sorted, I said to the boy at the front desk, "Right, did you know the light isn't working? It's broken." And he says, "Oh, what's happened?" I told him the way it was and the way it was lying. And he says, "Oh, I didn't know that at all. I'll go fix it for you," which is fair enough. But the older guy was standing there as well, and he said, "Oh no," he says, "I've just been in hoovered that room just a minute ago." And I was saying, well, the light looked as if somebody had placed it there, right in front of the door as you walk in. He was like, "No, I just hoovered it, it was fine." So it's a weird one. So it's a mystery. I suppose it is possible, so I just have to accept the fact that it fell down. While I was away from my shower, the boy came in and fixed it though. When I come back, all my stuff was still here. Not that I would suspect they would steal anything anyway. So, aye, a funny one, but it's a good hostel. I'd recommend it. Good hostel.